The NFL posted this graphic showing Gronk having the most touchdown catches from Tom Brady. Brady commented, quote, "I hope 78 isn't the final number." Hey, look, we saw this happen with Jason Winnett. We saw what happened with our guy, Cris Carter. See, how would coming back be? What would a return be like for Gronk?
Well, first you need to know every player's situation is totally different. At the time I left the Vikings, I voided my contract, and I did hit free agency, but there was a great potential that I would probably retire. HBO at the time offered me, man, a 5-year deal to be able to be on TV, a no-cut contract. It was guaranteed, and I was like, man, so run up and down the field. Now I can transition to the career that I thought that I was going to have. Now, the St. Louis Rams, Mike Marks at that time, they had a tremendous interest in me. I thought I was going to go there, be a slot receiver, red zone receiver, Torrey Holt, Isaac Bruce, all of us. The greatest show on turf was going to be able to add a slot receiver to them. So we thought it was a great fit. It didn't work out. I ended up accepting the television gig. So halfway through the season, the Dolphins are in a big Monday night game in Denver. They get 2 of their top receivers banged up, knocked out of the game. Rick Spielman, a friend of mine, played ball with his brother Chris, been knowing me since I was a kid. He called me up. I was in New York in my hotel, down at the Central Park at the Ritz, and I was chilling. I was like, he's like, hey, Chris. I was like, man, you called me to play football? He's like, no, I just called to see how you're doing. Eventually, the conversation proceeded to be, would you like to come back? Do you think you can help us? And I had been working out. A lot of players come back. I don't believe Gronk is going to have the energy to be able to come back, because the reason why Gronk is leaving is because he's banged up. I wasn't leaving because I was banged up. I was leaving because the Vikings' chance to win the Super Bowl, that window was done. Denny Green had left the team. He had been fired. And I didn't think we had to stay around to win. Gronk's already won. Gronk said he already made a lot of money. So what's he going to be coming back for? So for me, I would just be careful. There's a reason why he's retiring. I know one thing, the New England Patriots, they won't be thinking about him coming back. Tom Brady can tweet, Instagram, do whatever he wants. But how they proceed, I wouldn't be surprised in the top 4 rounds if they didn't draft 2 tight ends. Like, they're going to move on from a football standpoint.
Because they lost both their tight ends, by the way. Dwayne Allen's gone as well. Now, he's not near the player Gronk was, but they had a need there, arguably, even before Gronk retired. But I've heard a lot of people say, that Gronk will, by October, feel better than he has felt since high school, that in any point in his adult life, that his body will be in better shape, that he will feel in better condition.
Yeah, those aren't football players saying that. You're listening to some other people. Football players won't be saying that.
So he'll feel better as a citizen, as a civilian.
Let me tell you something. The arthritis he has in his knee, he's fractured his forearm a couple of times. When you start getting arthritis, it don't go away. It gets worse. So the things that he's had a problem with, he's had a chronic back problem for at least 10 years. That's one of the reasons why he wasn't a first-round draft pick. So to think his back has gotten better over those 10 years, no. There's a reason why he wears all that protective gear on his left forearm.
No, the point that I'm bringing up that we talked about before the show is that he will, and as Bart Scott has talked about, his body will start to heal up.
Well, and all the inflammation goes down.
And it might make him feel better walking around day to day. But the point you had made was that doesn't mean he's ready to play football. That even if his body does feel better, so say the arthritis doesn't get better, but he's not going to be taking hits over September and October the way he would in a football season. He won't have additional injuries that he doesn't have right now. But in your eyes, that doesn't make him better equipped to play football because he's not doing the requisite training that is necessary to play in an NFL
Gronk
game.
is a workout warrior. But the type of workouts that you're doing, I know Jenna thinks she trains hard, but she can't train to be in the NFL. And the overall mentality, what it takes to get up in the morning and what you have to do to get your mind. People talk about your body. It's your brain that you have to convince that, you know something? I had a huge advantage in the NFL. Number one is the reason how I can catch the ball. But the other reason was my edge was the fear of going across the middle and being hit. I didn't have that like other people had. All right? So you have to get your mind to say, I have to do this. So that type of work, it's more than just your body. So when you turn that off, regardless, even if you go to the gym, you don't come to the gym where I'm getting ready for an NFL season. So regardless of what kind of cardio shape you're in, you're not in the mental shape of an NFL player. I hope that makes sense.
No, that's what I was trying to lead.
We hear a lot about this with NBA players. They leave the game, but the game doesn't leave them, so they always they want to come back, they want to play as long as possible. I know it's a far more dangerous game when you play football, but give me a reason, to your point, see why a football player would want to return to the game after winning when your body's already beaten up and broken down.
Because you'll never be in that type of atmosphere. He'll never have the type of job that he has right now with the demographics, the different type of people, where they come from, but the goal to try to win. You got 16 games, you're trying to win them together. You're trying to do it as a team. And the time you spend traveling, meeting, in the locker room, that time is, there's no time like that. There's no better time that you'll have. You think you have fun in college? It is nothing till you get a bunch of guys that all you have to do is concentrate on football. Typically, everyone has got the most money they've ever had in their life, so the freedom that you have and just that togetherness. That's what guys miss, and then they miss Sundays. The reason why they quit is because they can't get through Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. So, yes, they miss the locker room. Yes, they miss game days. Yes, some of them do miss those huge NFL checks. But it's a rare, rare time, and you have to be able to put that behind you because you'll never have a job or anything that will rival being an NFL player.
And there's obviously been a lot of guys who, or at least a handful of really notable guys, who have sat out an entire season and come back. Reggie White sat out a whole year, came back with the Carolina Panthers. Deion sat out 3 years and came back for 2 full years. Ricky Williams sat out a year and came back. Marshawn Lynch sat out a full year. The distinction there and what we're talking about with Gronk is those guys sat out a year and then came back and had the offseason to prepare themselves for what Cris is talking about. Chris's circumstance was different in that he came back midseason, and a player who had been injured once your entire career got injured 4 games into your comeback, or a lacerated kidney or a lacerated spleen, something awful. Like the NFL guy that tries to come back midseason, if you remember even Jason Witten, he was offered midseason. Turned it down, came back, is now coming back with an offseason to prepare
The biggest difference in the NBA and the NFL, in the NBA you can specialize, and you don't have to worry about getting hurt. You don't have to worry about because you can't move as quick that someone else is going to get hurt. NBA you can specialize. I'm a three-point shooter. I'm a defensive specialist. I'm a big who runs the court. You can specialize. I can hide you as the 11th, 12th man on that bench in the NBA. I can do that. NFL, you can't hide an old man. It's a young man's game, and it's a game of speed, power, and force. And when you get old, you can generate less of those things. There's nowhere on the field to be able to hide someone like Gronk.
All right. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from First Things First, or go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.